Hello everyone, welcome back to my video. Today what I'll be doing is recreating a video that I have um, made as my first video really talking about CADPAT, and that's just CADPAT in general and how to build an impression. Back then, my knowledge was not as clear, it wasn't as developed, so I'm gonna really go into it because I basically have a complete impression. I will be making a whole video on it. Um, once I get the chance, once the weather gets better here, honestly, just to be able to really show you guys everything. I'm really excited to show it to you guys. It's been a while and there's been a lot done since my last video. So I'm gonna start off here with my slide presentation. I'll add photos over it if I need to, but this is going to be a more comprehensive talk about a Canadian impression using CADPAT, because CADPAT is a really interesting camouflage. Canada really started that whole trend of countries using digital camouflages. Some did a great job, some did a horrible job, you know, if you know. So let's talk about it and let's get into the kind of like the nitty gritty of what you want your kit to be. So let's talk about uniforms. So uniforms is a very weird subject, and there's a lot of reasons. Well, it's not necessarily weird, but it's very specific. The thing you have to realize about Canada is Canada's military is very under budgeted. They neglect a lot of things that they should worry more about, but don't. And what the Canadian military does is they basically use their stuff until it's just not usable anymore. For example, in the US military, if your uniform and you don't want to use it anymore, you can throw it in a bin and they'll probably be sold off or destroyed. So you have those options. In Canada, I don't know if you even have that option. I'm guessing not really. You're using your thing until the last second, until it's deemed not fit to be used, and it's sold on the surplus for God knows how much of a markup. But hey, that is just how it is. That is the market for Canadian surplus and CADPAT in general. So speaking about uniforms, let's talk about your top and your bottoms, your BDU as a whole. There's obviously different types of generations that you can get into. Again, let's talk about BDUs and then pants, ECUs, and then the Army/Air Force set. So ECUs and a variation of the ECU is what's basically, from what I know, is being currently used. There's been a couple of changes done to the ECU as far as it goes, but that's currently what or the original ECU, what they've changed, and now there's just a whole new thing done to these uniforms. What you would see a lot on the surplus market is modified or hybrid versions of the Army/Air Force set. These uniforms, I'll put a picture up, are the lightweight uniforms that they've basically had since like late 90s. The Army/Air Force set is lightweight. It's kind of like the see-through fabric that the uniforms are. And it's the Air Force/Army set because the buttons aren't exposed. The original ones, they had the buttons exposed. The Air Force like, we can't have that, and the Army's like, you know what, that's a good idea. We're gonna do that as well. Therefore, the Army/Air Force or Air Force/Army designation for this type of uniform. They're also referred to as Gen 2 uniforms, but I like to give them their actual kind of name, which is the Army/Air Force set, or the lightweights. And then they switched to ECUs, which is I think a different type of fabric, just a little bit different. Not too much, I'm guessing. I'm guessing it's still kind of like a light uniform, but the cut and the Velcro instead of the buttons is more prominent in that uniform, and just a lot of other things. Me personally, I have if you watch my past video, I have the Air Force slash or Army/Air Force or Air Force/Army set, lightweight BDU top. I still have to identify my pants, but as far as the top goes, I have that type of top, and I have kind of like a hybrid where This one was given on the arm, the pouches and Velcro. So again, I don't really know much about pants. I know obviously they align with the generation of uniforms. So there you go. Patches, again, if you're gonna do this impression, you make sure you have the right patches. Again, the correct division patches. If you have in your uniforms the correct Velcro patches, you can usually get these off of CP Gear, or eBay if you want to have more realistic ones. If you wanna, and you can get a lot of your patches off of CP Gear if you want Velcro. Um, you can get them custom made by CP Gear, but at that point, it's just better to go on eBay and try to find a correct unit you have. It might be harder. For me, it was pretty easy, but again, that is if you have the older uniforms. If you have the uniforms, just use their Velcro stuff and really just study and get the correct patches and the correct flag patches. If you want to get the actual Canadian ones, you can probably find them on eBay. If you just want them close enough but are still used by the Canadian military, you can get them off of CP Gear. CP Gear is a really big player in making sure you have the correct kit, and as far as the patches and other assortments, and I'll get into that more into the video. But yeah, so let's move on. Let's talk about the kit. There's different approaches you can do with the kit, and this all comes down to one also big factor, and that's your unit. The unit you portray also plays a large factor in what kind of kit you want, if you're going to be that specific. For example, the Royal Canadian Regiment are really only use the issued equipment, as I've been told. They're not you'll never really see them ever using third-party equipment from like CP Gear, some CP Gear stuff, but you won't. We're talking about more like the chest rig, and that's gonna be like Sword. Sword is a big contender in third-party equipment used by the Canadian military and troops. Sword is what a lot of the Canadians soldiers, they use their stuff. As far as how it's set up, I'm not too sure, but they still use that kind of stuff. They use their stuff a lot. Talking about just the genuine Canadian kit, that is the helmet. As far as the helmet, they use a CG634. I think they're trying to develop a better one. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they are, if I've heard correctly. But currently, they're pretty still being issued a CG634. So that's the helmet you'll need. And they're expensive. Yeah. So if you even find one too in good condition and your size, you'll probably find one, but you'll pay a pretty penny for it. Frag vests are stupid expensive, first of all, and difficult to find. Frag vests can range from $350 to $500, and they're expensive and they're hard to find. So good luck finding one. But if you do, you're lucky. Again, for me, I live in the United States, so I want to make that clear. I live in the United States, so for me to get this stuff, it's not like I can know a guy from the Canadian military and have him kind of like give it to me. Or even, I mean, if a guy's even in the military, they shouldn't be giving you that stuff. 'Cause I'm pretty sure that's like illegal. But I don't have any connections I can make or look in surplus stores in Canada, which I doubt Canadian stores will even have fire. I don't know, but I got mine off of eBay. I was lucky, but yeah. And then you have the tack vest, aka fishing vest, snack vest. It has so many nicknames because of how shit it is. It's an absolutely low bearing equipment. One piece, you just throw it on, zip it up, and button it down. And it has 4 mag pouches, 2 grenade pouches, 2 leg pouches. On the front, you got your canteen pouch. Either you can have it on left or right, or you can, and then you have kind of like what they call like, kind of like they call it a dumb pouch, or I think they call it something else, but it's like a bigger pouch that you would have on your left or right, and you would have bigger stuff. You have a sleeve on the inside where you throw a map and compass in, and then you have these clips at the bottom, and that's where you would attach your gas mask. What I do there is I attach, as you'll see in the upcoming video, hopefully in the next week or two, or maybe a month, give or take, on how quick my other stuff comes in for the impression. Oh yeah, the frag attack vest. I have I put a dump pouch on using clips and whatever that come in malice clips. I think. Yeah, so I use malice clips to attach malice clips or whatever to attach the dump pouch to where the gas mask would be. I've read on forums, just been on forums, Canadian soldier forums, and kind of studying what they do And I've heard multiple people say that's what they do. I don't know how niche it is or how rare it is for them to do it, because again, it all is on a unit basis. But I've heard that that's what some Canadian soldiers do. So yeah. All right. And we're gonna talk about the miscellaneous stuff. This is a really big subject. I'm not gonna get too big into it because it's such a huge object. So miscellaneous stuff. So let's talk about it. I'm not gonna talk about the rifle. The rifle is its own thing. Actually, you know what? I will talk about it. And this is for airsoft, by the way. I didn't make it clear, but this is for airsoft. Because you can build a real C7 or C8 or C9, whatever. But I'm only going to talk about the C8 and the C7 because they have share the same principle. And this isn't a real one. This is airsoft, strictly airsoft. Just because that's what I'm doing it for airsoft. Or just overall, the impression is really interesting. I love the Canadian impression. It's just overall interesting. So let's talk about gloves. Gloves, Canadians issue gloves. Are these leather gloves with CADPAT material in them. I've heard they're garbage, so they ditch them and just get whatever gloves their unit allows. Black, tan, you usually see those. A multicam even be used. Boots again. Canadians get a coupon to buy boots. Don't know how much, but they buy boots. Whatever military boots sees fit, that is good quality. There's probably a trend of which ones they buy specifically, but yeah, that's your take on how much you want to spend on your boots. As long as they're tan or black, give or take again, what your unit uses, you do that research. Dust goggles. I will be getting dust goggles because I am going to be portraying the 3rd Division Royal Canadian Regiment. And I'm going to be using a CA rifle, the carbine. So I'll need dust goggles because I'm part of a LAV crew or whatever, because motorized infantry. Dump pouch. Again, dump pouch, I don't know if the RCR, Royal Canadian Regiment, really uses them, but I'm going to use it because I can't stand putting mags back into my tac vest because of how it's just a waste of time, and I'd rather just throw in a dump pouch and worry about it later, right? Is it most accurate? Probably not, but hey, it'll do it. Now, going on the rifle, I will make a whole video on how I built it, but I'll tell you this. To build a C7 or C8 rifle, you can buy the real stuff to put onto it, like all the Dimaco, aka, or not Dimaco, I'll just say Cold Canada, because that's what they are now. Cold Canada's parts, the tri-rail, the rear iron sight that would come with it that you'd put in front of your L-can. If you want to buy a real L-can, you spend $2,000, $200 on the rear sights. I don't know how much on a tri-rail. I've seen this for $600. I don't know if it was Canadian dollars or USD. I don't care. It's expensive. So what do? What's a great alternative? 3D printing. When I say this, my gun is a lot of the parts, the covers, tri-rail, butt pad, a lot of the knobs, 3D printed. I know how to use CAD. I use Fusion 360. I make the little knobs that would screw onto I made the whole L-can cover. I modeled it and everything and tested it on like a fake one. It fit on my fake one, so I can have a better one. And you'll see that in the video. Made just overall modeled and designed the correct parts, and you'll see it in the video. Are they 100% accurate? No, but they do the job, and it improves the impression. One day I wanted to have it really 100% accurate. Right now, I'd say it's pretty darn close to around 90, 95, right? Just because it's really hard to build a genuine C8, C7 rifle just because of how ridiculously expensive those parts are if you were to use the genuine parts. But yeah. And then obviously, if you're building a rifle, get a sling, get steel mags, of course. You can get 5, or if you have your sword kit, I don't know how many, you can carry 10. I don't know. It's up to you, honestly, at that point, right? And then goggles or ballistic eye pro. You want those, the ones with the orange lenses. Where can you get them? CP Gear has them. I know there's probably maybe a couple other sites, but CP Gear has them. And I want to make it clear that CP Gear is where you want to get, I wouldn't want to say where you want to get all your stuff, but they have a lot of the stuff that the Canadian military or a lot of soldiers use from what I've seen. I wouldn't quote me on that. There's maybe other sites that have it cheaper, but that's where I've heard they have to get a lot of stuff. There's obviously just like CP gear is pretty expensive for a lot of their stuff, so you have to keep that in mind. But overall, that's where I'm getting a lot of my stuff from my kit, and I am definitely spending a pretty penny for someone who just plays airsoft, which I don't know. I've kind of just fell into a rabbit hole, and I'm almost there, right? At almost fell in and about to fall back out. So, anyways, guys, I really hope you guys enjoy this video. This video is a little more detailed. I believe I can't really think of any other things to talk about. I'm probably definitely missing a couple of things that will pop up right probably when I'm editing this thing. I I genuinely do think, or I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys hopefully watch my video on my kit. Like I said, maybe 1 to 2 weeks, if give or probably 2 or more weeks, give or take, um, and really just talk about my kit because I'm pretty much done. I just need to get a couple more things, and I will be done. So again, like I said, I do appreciate you guys for watching this video, and I'll hope to see you guys at the next one. See ya.